Well, I'm joined by the CEO since 1986 of Gibson Guitars. We're going to be talking to him in a moment. But first, look at this American-made beauty here, right here in front of me. And the feds are now saying it doesn't matter if your guitar is 50 years old or if it's another company, not just Gibson, that they may actually raid musicians. They may confiscate them when you try to leave the country. It's just incredible. And they're saying next could be old furniture or the wood on firearms. Again, Henry Juskowitz has been the CEO since 1986, and he's been shocked by what happened to him, but also heartened when I was talking to him earlier before we got him on air about the outpouring of support for this American-made icon. Henry, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me here.
First off, just give viewers out there the basics of what's happened with this SWAT team raid.
Well, last Wednesday we had, well over a couple of dozen armed agents with weapons and, in some cases, bulletproof vests and SWAT attire come into our facilities, evacuate the facilities, shut down the factories, hustle our people out on the streets and in the parking lots, pour through the factories and grab pallet loads of raw material, wood, grab paperwork, grab computer hard drives, image computer hard drives, and generally shut the business down. And indicate that we could not build any guitars or touch any guitars that had Indian, rosewood, or ebony, and every guitar we touched would be considered a federal crime.
Wow. Now, you are a non-union shop, correct?
Yes.
And you, from what I've read, your operation's mainly a Republican group of donors, and your big competitors, I was reading in the news, they are big Obama supporters, and you are the only company that's been raided so far. This is the second time in the last couple years. Do you think there's something political going on here?
Well, the fact that we're doing the same thing other people are doing, and only we are being targeted, leads me to believe that there are some ulterior, possibly political motives. The second thing is it's an extraordinarily violent response. Coming in with weapons, shutting our business down, interrogating our employees. It's sort of over the top, and again, indicates to me that there's some kind of ulterior political motive there.
Give us the details of the raid. You said it was a SWAT-like. When I interviewed you on the radio, you talked about them taking employees into private areas and surrounding them, even the people that are sweeping the floors.
Yes, in the first raid, that's exactly what they did. They when I arrived in the factory, they had one or two people that I specifically saw, and they had they were sitting there confused, armed guys all around them, and I quickly made them let them go. They didn't have any rights read to them. They didn't have any attorneys there. They didn't know what was going on. And we got our attorneys on the scene very quickly. But it was really, bullying tactics. These were arrogant people who just didn't care about anyone there.
Are you thinking about any type of response to this legally?
We are. We are looking at several options, actually, and we hope by the end of this week to actually have filed some litigation.
Now, at first they wouldn't tell you why they were there. Very Kafkaesque. You don't know what crime you're being accused of. You can't face your accusers. But I was reading in the paper that now you've learned more. It's the Lacey Act, and correct me if I'm wrong, and that states that American companies are under the foreign laws of any country that they import wood from, and that you're in trouble for working the wood, that this wood was not endangered, it was all ordered properly. They admit that, but it was the working of the wood that American workers can't improve on something?
Specifically, India has a law that you cannot buy wood raw, that you have to perform value added in India. And in other words, labor has to be done in India, and that's the law they're citing and using against us, if you will.
And so the Lacey Act brings us basically under foreign laws, but then you were saying you have all this paperwork from the Indians saying everything you're doing is completely legal, and they're happy with it.
Right. The Indian government is perfectly happy with the business. They have it endorsed in written form. We have certified documents that say that the exports of these fingerboards specifically is legal and condoned by the Indian government. And so it's our government's interpretation of Indian law, which is different than what the Indians themselves interpret the law, their own law as.
Mr. Jeskowitz, how much money have you lost because of this?
Well, it is well over $1 million, and it could be more as we tabulate the damage that we incurred last week.
Can you give us any idea, or is it too soon to say specifically legally what your lawyers are telling you that they believe the feds have done that's wrong, so that you're able to sue them?
Yeah, we're debating that now, and there are several things that we can file on, and we're just debating which one is the best one to get what we need to get.
Now, the concerns I've seen in some of the newspapers point out that under the Lacey Act, and the federal government's on record, now, when you try to fly out of the country with a wooden guitar, they don't care how old it is. If you don't have the proof of where it came from, that they're confiscating them. Can you speak to that?
It's quite ridiculous. The fact is, the law is that you have to know what every material component in the product is and where it came from. So in other words, every single piece of wood, the bridge, the fingerboard, the body, these are all different woods that have come from different sources. You, as a guitar owner, if you want to transport that guitar across borders, have to know exactly where each piece of wood came from and what species it is, which is frankly impossible for an average person to know. And on an old guitar, we don't even know that. I mean, we don't keep records going back, decades on the specifics.
Well, I was reading, because it's not just Gibson, it's all the wooden instruments, violins, cellos, you name it, that people like Willie Nelson, who I know personally, he won't take his prized wooden guitars out of the country. He won't take Trigger that he got over 60 years ago out of the country because reportedly they're grabbing most of the guitars people try to take into Canada or fly to Europe for a show. And now the feds are saying pianos, furniture, firearms stocks. I mean, this sounds like it's a giant power grab, and it looks like the U.S. is the only country in the world acting like this with a renewable resource like wood.
It is really unprecedented, and it's unfair. I just can't believe it's happening in this country.
In closing, how can we support a American icon company like Gibson? I mean, how do we keep you here in the U.S.? Because doing my own investigation, if you're based overseas, you seem to get left alone, and our government just bends over backwards. Even Congressman Kucinich said 2 days ago on CNN that the head of the President's Economic Council, the former head of GE, is great at creating jobs overseas, that a lot of the stimulus money and bailout money is going to move General Electric's X-ray division to China, to move General Motors factories to China. What's going on here?
Well, you know, in the government itself, in a brief, specifically said in our court case that we should move to Madagascar and make guitars.
Excuse me? Hold the presses, sir. CEO of Gibson since 1986. You're telling me, and I know you've got these press release on Gibson, but I would love to see a copy of this. I believe you, that they specifically said, leave America.
That we would be better off manufacturing guitars in Madagascar.
Wow. And they told you that via a court brief?
Yes.
I haven't seen this in the press yet. This is bombshell. You've got to get a press release out, or perhaps you already have.
We're working on it, and yeah, we'll have the actual document.
Wow. Gibson Guitar told basically leave America. Well, incredible. Gibson.com is the website. I know personally my wife plays guitar and piano. And we've only got a few guitars, but I'm going to get a Gibson guitar. I'm going to get one of the wood ones because no doubt when they try to suppress something, it's going to go up in value. And we need to really get behind your company and other American-made companies. I've always tried to promote that. In closing, the guys just brought this in because we did a report earlier. They were down at the Gibson showroom here in Austin, Texas earlier, and the manager said, well, I'm not going to send you with one of our guitars, but I'll send you my personal one. And I got a bunch of musicians in the crew. I'm ignorant, and I don't know via the video connection if you can see this, sir, but this is just a gorgeous made-in-America guitar, Les Paul model. I mean, what goes into this craftsmanship? And is it the fingerboard up here that supposedly is the foreign wood that they're so upset about?
That is right, yes. The darker wood under the strings.
And they want this Les Paul to be made in Madagascar. I mean, can't the U.S. have any industry? These people are traitors. A foreign army couldn't do this to us, sir.
Well, no comment, but...
wow.
We have yeah.
Now, I know that these American-made, handcrafted babies. Sometimes I've read you guys are even sold out of these. But do you have any Les Pauls on hand in case I want to get my wife one?
Well, we do, but I believe they will be in short supply. We have tremendous disruption in production, and we have been canceling orders because, frankly, they grabbed our raw materials, and we're trying to make up for it, but there will be a shortage, at least for a month or so.
Because they confiscated your wood?
Yes.
And so that's what's caused the disruption. Even in less than a week, it's cost you $1 million. Where will you be in 2 or 3 weeks?
Hard to say. I don't know at this point.
Well, Henry, we appreciate you joining us, the CEO of Gibson. I just hope that they don't go after all the wood in this country. Sir, the American people are with you. Thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you very much again for having me, and everyone have a great day.
Thank you so much, sir. All right, there goes the CEO of Gibson, one of the few companies still producing handcrafted quality here in the United States. And if the Justice Department and others have their way, that won't be happening in the very near future unless we stop them.